Hey everybody, Tim here with today's episode of Enterprise Season 3, Episode 17, Hatchery. So, this was a rough episode. I liked it. I really enjoyed the concept of it. The problem I had is I feel like, I could be 100% wrong, but I feel like it had too many writers on it. Like, I didn't actually look to see who wrote it or how many people were involved in it, but I feel like there were too many people sticking their fingers in there to try to make it their own, and it kind of fell apart. The reason being, so the whole episode boils down to an insectoid ship like crashes, the crew dies except for the hatchery, Archer gets sprayed with this toxin, goes batshit crazy and wants to like donate everything from the ship to save the eggs. And then they realize that he's been infected, they cure him, they move along. So, the reason this episode fails for me is because we see Archer get sprayed with that stuff. As soon as he was sprayed, I was like, okay, so he's been affected by something. And even though Phlox is like, oh no, you're fine, you're good. It was just like this defense mechanism. I was like, no, he's not. And as soon as he starts acting crazy, you're like, it's because of the spray. Like, I get it. And then the episode continues, and you watch him go more and more and more crazy. And you're like, oh, it's the spray. Like, I get it. And then finally, Dr. Phlox is like, it's the spray! And you're like, no shit. And so, like, it as the viewer, as somebody who's seen 700 episodes of Star Trek, like, I was like, no, like, this was never a surprise. Like, if they had filmed it different, and so, like, let's say they get down there, and then, like, I don't know, they can't open the doors, and finally Archer is the one that pries the doors open, and he gets, like, hit with this gust of air, and then, he's the first person to enter the room. Like, and that's it. That's all you get. And then finally, when they're like, what happened? Like, what's different? And then Dr. Phlox is like, well, who was the first one in the room? And Trip's like, well, shit, I don't know. Like, Major Hayes was leading the expedition, and I was there. And Phlox is like, who was the first one in the room? And it's like, oh, I think it was Archer. That would have, like, that's it. Like, that's the big twist that you needed. Like, you don't see him touch it. You don't see spray. You don't see, like, the music changes or anything like that. Don't give it away. Like, I didn't need to know the twist before the twist is revealed. So that bugged the shit out of me. Like that's it. Like, I should have never have guessed that Archer was infected until the end. So that kind of bugged me. Mostly just Archer, like, just being, like, the nanny douche, like, just bugged me, especially when, like, the egg pops and he freaks out, and that was bad filmmaking. I'm sorry. Like, I realize it's TV, there's a budget, but I mean, you could do the CG babies crawling all over him, but when, like, the baby died, like, it looked like a Happy Meal toy. Like, it was just awful. I did love Archer's scene about, like, his grandfather in the eugenics wars, which is interesting because, like, this is the first time they've discussed the eugenics wars since after they supposedly took place. Like, if you go back to, like, Space Seed and the Wrath of Khan and stuff like that, they were supposed to take place in, like, 1998. And so, like, now, I mean, this episode's, like, 2004, so the eugenics wars have passed. I mean, you could write some throwaway line that, like, oh, because Kirk went back in time, and Picard went back in time, and Archer's gone back in time, and Janeway went back in time. Like, and even, like, in Deep Space Nine, they went back in time. They're going back in time every other fucking day. Like, you could easily say, like, oh, they just postponed the eugenics wars. It went from 1998 to 2098. Even though World War III is, like, 2063. But whatever. Like, I mean, you could just pull, like, one of the Terminator things. Like, oh, we didn't stop it. We just postponed it. Something like that. Either way, this is the first time they've actually mentioned it since post-1998. So I liked that. This episode also seemed to be, like, I was 100% down with Archer being like, we can't kill these eggs. Like, because there was the whole episode of, like, the primate people, and Archer, like, being like, you're Xindi, you're evil, you're building weapons, and he was like, I didn't know I was building a weapon to destroy your planet, and, like, not all Xindi are bad. Like, 100% great. And so this episode, like, I could see Archer being like, we have to save these eggs and extend that olive branch of peace. And then, like, of course, he goes batshit crazy. So, like, if they had just done the peaceful thing, I would have been 100% fine. If they had just done the twist at the end, I would have been 100% fine. Don't combine the stories. And then he went through all of this for no reason because the eggs hatch and they're just fine. Like, they're not going to die. And Archer's like, they're good. Like, another ship will come by. So the whole episode was just pointless. I don't know. For those who have seen it, what did you guys think? Go ahead, let me know, and I will see you guys next time for a ZD Prime.